So our first question today is detecting on a Renko chart here, detecting higher lows. So we can see, all these green vertical lines here marking higher lows. And you also might note it's on the second bar, right? So we're waiting for 2 bars in a row to go up, or 2 bars in a row in the same direction, right? And these are all marking higher lows. And then here on the red line, all right, this is a lower high, and again, it's waiting for the second down bar. And so then another lower high, and then we get a higher low, another higher low, and then let's see here. We do have a lower high here that appears to be missed, but on the single up bar, right? That's a single up bar. So that's why I think that's why this higher low is not marked, because it was only 1 up bar. So we want to make sure that there's at least 2 up bars here. Right? And so then again we have a lower high, and we're waiting for the second down bar, lower high, second down bar, lower high, second down bar. Right? And on these up bars, on these reversal up bars, you can see these are actually making lower lows, right? So there's no signal on these lower lows reversing up, and no signals on the higher highs reversing down. So the key to getting any kind of a higher low, lower high system working, right, is to have, a swing point indicator, that matches your judgments of, where swing points are. So for this example, I'm using the swing highs and lows that comes with shark indicators. Right. So just to recap here, right, I'm using the swing highs and lows indicator here, right, that comes with inside the shark indicators folder. You can see there's the swing highs and lows. So with this indicator, what's going to be important to getting this system working the way, the system working, and to match kind of like your own judgment calls of what's a higher high or higher low, what's important is to make sure that the indicator settings, are adjusted to match your own judgments of what should be a higher high or a higher low, things like that, right? So my settings here, I took the swing strength and I knocked it down by 1, so you can see it's set to 6, right? So the default setting is 7, and I knocked it down to 6 because for the size of Renko bar that I have on my chart, it's helping to detect these swing points a little faster. All right, so knocking it down from 7 to 6 on the swing strength is detecting these swing points. Let me cancel that. Detecting these swing points just a little bit faster here. Right? So we can see sometimes, even sometimes these swing points are detected actually on the reversal bar. And then sometimes the swing points are detected 1 bar after the reversal bar. So right here, this swing low, it was detected 1 bar after the reversal bar. And that's actually most typical. Typically with the swing strength set to 6, with this size of Renko bar, most of the swing points are detected on the second bar after the reversal. But let's see here. That's not always the case. So keep right here. Here's an example. So this is actually the 3rd bar, after the reversal. So this swing low was detected a little bit late, a little bit later than wanted. So again, getting your swing point indicator, settings set correctly to match what you want is really the most important thing about, setting up this system, putting this system together, is getting your swing indicator working so that it matches what you want, right? All right, so let's mark a couple examples here. Clearly, this is a lower high, right? So we have a swing high back here being plotted. So to build this system, we need to look at two main conditions. First is we need to find these reversal bars here, right? So when we have a reversal bar, what we're going to do is take a look at one bar back, right? So at the previous bar, we're going to compare the closing price. So if it's a reversal down, then we're going to compare the closing price of the previous up bar. We're going to compare that to the swing high. And so if this closing price is below a swing high plot, then we know that this is a lower high. So those are the two main things we're going to look for, is find these reversal bars and then wait for the second bar after the reversal bar, and then also compare, right, the previous bar's closing price to the swing high. Or if it's a reversal up bar, then we'll compare the close of the previous bar to the swing low to determine if it's a higher low. Right? So clearly, here we go. So like right here, if we were comparing, right, this bar prior to the reversal up bar, if we compare this closing price to the swing low, well, it's below it, so therefore we know that this is not a higher low. All right, so just for good measure, we'll just mark a couple of these here where we're expecting some signals. And let's go ahead and also put some arrows on there. All right, so let's get BloodHound back open here. And I had started this system by grabbing a indicator inflection solver. All right, so I'm starting with a inflection solver. And so an inflection solver will find all of these reversal bars here. Right? So let's adjust the name. So we're actually going to find or detect price inflections. And so to do that, we're going to change the input type to price, right? So we don't want an indicator value. We want to look at price. And we'll just compare the closing price of each of the bars there. And we should have this connected in there. So once we connect this in, there we go, right? We can see all of these reversal bars are marked for us on our chart. There we go. That's the reversal bar. And remember, we want the second bar here, right? The second bar after the reversal bar. So what we need to do is take the look back period, and we're going to increase that to 2. And so now we can see the reversal signals extend forward 2 bars, or an extra bar, I should say. Right, so we have 2 bars of these reversal signals. Right? So now we can take this and combine it with a bar direction solver. So if we connect that in, right, a bar direction solver, pretty straightforward. If we have up bars, we're getting a long output. Down bars, we're getting a short output. But what we want to do is we want to look for 2 bars in a row. So we're going to set the number of bars to 2. And then let's also adjust the name here. So we're looking for, right, 2 bars in the same direction. And so now we can see on the reversal bars, there's no output, right? Because this is the only up bar. This is the first up bar. And so once we get to the second up bar, then we get a long output. Once we get 2 up bars in a row, we'll get a long output, right? Or 2 down bars in a row, then we'll start getting a short output. Right? And so we can take an AND node, and once we combine these 2 solvers together in a AND node, now we're identifying the second up bar or the second down bar after a reversal. And what this is doing, let's see if I can find an example here. Yeah, it's going to be hard to find some examples, so I'm going to make an adjustment to my bar settings here. So I'm going to change the new trending size to 2. Yeah, all right. Now I can find some examples here. All right, so on this reversal down bar, right, there's no short signal because we don't have the second bar in a row. So there we go. So that's what looking for this second bar in a row is doing, is it's filtering out these single reversal bars down, like so. Right? Okay, let's go back to where we were working here. All right, so we've got the second bar after the reversal. So now we just need to add the component that detects whether this is a lower high or higher low. And let's see if I can find some examples here. Yeah, here we go. So right here, so this point, if we're looking at it like this, there we go, right? So this just made a higher high because we're above the previous high, right? So we're above this swing high plot here. So this is above it. So this short signal will get filtered out, will get removed because this is at a higher high. So there. And just for good measure, right, there's another short signal that will get removed as well because once we compare the closing price, right, of this up bar to the swing high plot, once we do that comparison, we'll know that this is a higher high, and that'll filter this short signal out. Yeah. So there we go. So we're going to take this closing price and make sure that it is below the swing high. We'll compare it and make sure that the close is below the swing high. So if this closing price, for example, if this closing price is above the swing high, then we know that this is a higher high. So, all right, so let's get BloodHound back open. And switch over to the Logic tab. And so to do this type of, to look for this condition here, comparing the close to the swing high, we're going to use the comparison solver. So simply, to kind of simplify, or as a single summary of what the comparison solver is doing, is we're comparing whether input A is above or below input B. All right, that's really the comparison that you're doing on a chart. Is whenever you're doing some kind of comparison, the main comparison on a chart is whether one thing is above or below another thing. And so that's what our comparison solver is doing for us. So I'm going to connect that in. And we're going to compare price to, let's see, to a lower low or a higher high. Actually, instead of price, let me put close. Yeah, we're going to compare the close of the bar. And this is actually going to be the close of three bars back. If this was code, you would actually put, so if you're a little adept with NinjaScript, you would actually say close 2 if you're writing code. But to match up with the look back period, I'm going to say the close of 3 of the third look back bar. Basically, this is going to be the third look back bar. All right, so to do that, we're going to take input A and we're going to change this to price, right? And there's the closing price. And we want to look back to the third bar. So if you notice, the look back period always starts at 1. So if I try to put a 0 in there, it's going to adjust it up to 1 because it's a period, right? The key word here is period. So you cannot have a 0 bar period, right? Period. So yeah, any kind of setting that is a period setting always has to have at least 1 bar minimum, right? So yeah, so a period setting always has to start at 1. So that is why, for you NinjaScript programmers, that's why I changed my close, my name up here saying close 3, because I wanted it to match the look back period here, which starts with an index of 1. So again, if this was programming, the proper way would be close 2, because when you're programming, writing code, you actually start with an index of 0. But we're actually using a look back period here. So our starting index is 1. So I need to change this to 3. And so what this is doing, stretch this out, where my arrow is, this is bar 1. And so why am I starting here on this bar? Well, let's go back to what we have here, right? So what we built previously. So we know that we want a short signal here. That's why I put the arrow there. So ultimately, our ultimate goal is to see a short signal here and a long signal here, right? And I guess just for good measure, let's mark that with a long signal, right? So we know we want a long signal on the second up bar that I have marked so far. So to do this comparison, right? So what we're working on is comparing the close of this bar to the swing indicator, right? So that is what that's what we're setting up right here. We're setting up this solver to compare the close of this bar, right? The bar prior to the reversal bar, and compare that to the swing high-low indicator. So since this is where we want our signal, this is bar 1, the reversal bar is bar 2, and the previous up bar is bar 3. So that's why our look back period is set to 3. We start from the signal bar and count your way back. Right? So this period, look back period of 3, is going to look back to this up bar, right? To this last up bar. And then, so we have input A set, which is our close. And I actually left the name incorrect. So there we go. So we're looking at the close of the third bar back. And then input B, this is going to be the swing indicator. So let's open up the indicator, and let's go to the shark indicators folder, and there is the swing highs and lows indicator. And remember, I adjusted the swing strength here. I knocked it down to 6 so we'd have a faster response from the swing indicator. So we also need to make that adjustment inside of BloodHound. And next we need to figure out what plots are we using. So we're using the widest tops to generate short signals, right? So the green line is the widest tops. So think of the widest tops. Think of the widest tops as the highest highs, right? And the widest bottoms is the lowest lows. And the tightest, those are like internal swing points. So the tightest tops and tightest bottoms, those would be higher lows and lower highs, whereas the widest tops and widest bottoms, those would be the highest highs and highest lows. Now these are all subject to change based on your number of swings. All right, so your number of swings, if you change that, well, that's going to affect, the tightest plots being the higher lows or lower highs. All right. So this, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that tightest plots are not guaranteed to be higher lows or lower highs. It all depends on the number of swings here, but in general, that's what this is, right? But more to the point, what we see on the chart are only the widest tops and only the widest bottoms, right? So I'm just marking highest highs and lowest lows. And so that's what we're going to use in our system too. So we're using the widest tops, which is the green plot, when we're generating a short signal. And when we're looking for a long signal, right, from a higher low, then we're using the lowest low plot, which is the widest bottoms. All right, so we have that. Next, I need to confirm if our outputs are correct. And yes. All right, so let's walk through this. We're looking for a short signal here. And if we look at this, we're getting, actually, let's see. Yeah, there we go. All right, I thought I saw this pop up. All right, yeah, so we are working on trying to resolve this. This actually happens to be some kind of weird multi-threading issue with NinjaTrader 8. But if you see this when you're using the swing highs and lows indicator, it is kind of a benign error message. So you can just get rid of it like so, and just reload the chart. Yeah, just do a reload of the chart. All right, and that gets rid of it. So it's just a one-time occurrence when you're first, when you're first using the swing highs and lows indicator in a solver or in BloodHound. You get that error message the first time and then it goes away. It's some kind of weird multi-threading issue with NinjaTrader 8 that we're trying to work out. All right, so now that we've reloaded the chart and got this working again, now our output here, is correct. And what I want to point out here, what we're seeing here, right, the output from this solver, what we're seeing here, right, is when we get a long and a short at the same time, that is telling us that the closing price of these bars are in between the highest high and lowest low. So if we look here, right? As soon as price goes above the swing high, oh, let's see. Actually, we are getting a short output. Oh, right. So, yeah. So remember, we have a delay here because remember we're looking at the closing price of the third bar back. So when you're looking at, so what I'm doing is I'm looking at this short output here, and we can see that the closing price is above the swing high. Right. So actually here, let's just do this. Let me change the look back to 1 just temporarily. Right. Now everything is a little easier to understand. So as soon as the closing price goes above the swing high, well, we know that there is a higher high being made. Right? And so if we're making a higher high, then we don't want to see the short signals, because the short signals here, those are only wanted at lower highs. So we can see it when the closing price is below the swing high, we're getting a short output. But when the closing price is above the swing high, right, the green line, there is no short output. Right? We're missing a short output on all these bars because the closing price is above the swing high. So we removed the short output. So that means we can't generate any short signals without a short output. So here, once the closing price is below the swing high, we have a short output, and then we can generate this short, right? This short signal here for the lower high, for this lower high reversal down. So again, we need to look back 3 bars. So to recap, what this is doing is, when we're at this bar, we're looking back 3 bars, grabbing that closing price, and then comparing it to the swing high. So as long as this closing price is below the swing high plot, then we're going to generate a short output, right? And that will allow this short signal to go through. And so let's look at our signals here, right? So this is what we're doing, is we're filtering out all of these second bar reversal signals. And so again, this here, so we want to get rid of this short signal because it's at a higher high, right? And we also want to get rid of this short signal because, again, this is at a higher high. And so if we look at this comparison solver, well, if we look at the bar in question, right? So this bar here, if we look at BloodHound's output, or I should say, if we look at the output of this comparison solver, right here, there's no short output. So that will remove this short signal from here, right? So if we look at this logic, right, we're getting a short signal, but since this solver, it has no short, it'll actually remove that signal. And same thing over here, this bar. So this bar here, if we come down here, right, there's no short output on this bar. So let's take a look at those signals again, right? So there we go. The short signal and short signal, we want to get rid of those. And so as soon as we take our comparison solver and connect it in, there we go. Those short signals went away. and then these short signals remained. So that is basically it. So there's all of our signals. That's going to clean up all these drawing objects. There we go. So as long as, price keeps stepping up, right, we have these higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, right, all these higher lows, then we'll keep getting these long signals here. And whenever we get a lower high, this will generate a short. Oh, yeah, and here we go. So here's an example where there was only one bar in the same direction, right? So we had a single reversal down bar, and so no signal. All right, so Joe has a follow-up question on this. So he's saying, so on the template I'm working on now, can you add trend filters to it? EMA 120 on a 3, 5, 10. Oh, okay, yeah, an EMA 20 on a 3, 5, and 10 minute chart. Yeah, so it'll only take trades, or so that, yeah, so it'll only produce signals in the direction of the EMAs, yeah, on a higher time frame chart. Yep, you bet, Joe. So what I'm going to show you here is kind of like the typical or classic reason why there are multiple logic templates within a single BloodHound template file, right? So we have a template file, and then we also have logic templates. So instead of modifying this question here from Jahan, I'm going to make a copy of it, right? So I'll make a copy of it and then modify the template name. All right. So what we're doing is we're adding a higher time frame, EMA 120 filter, right? So we now have two systems here, right? So we have basically kind of like the baseline system, and we made a copy of this so that we can then go in and make a alteration to it, right? A modification of it. All right, so to get the EMA direction, kind of an EMA 120 slope direction filter on a 3, 5, and 10 minute chart, we need to switch over to the solvers tab, and we need to add that 3, 5, and 10 minute chart time frames, right? So we'll hit the chart button 3 times there, and there we go. We can see we got 3 time frames, and then we'll just go in here and adjust these so that we have a 3 minute, and the one in the middle, we'll adjust that to a 5 minute, and then the last one will be a 10 minute. All right, so when you add secondary time frames to BloodHound, well, we need to, you'll see this message, this notification on the chart telling us we need to reload the data so that we can get, so that way NinjaTrader can build that 3, 5, and 10 minute data series for us, or for BloodHound. So let's just reload the chart. All right, and there we go. And just a little side note here, like a little tip here. You can tell what data series or what time frames BloodHound is using here if you look at the title right? If you look at the indicator name here, all right? So we can see. Here, I'm going to shrink this down a little bit. There we go. So right there, yeah, we can see that. And then just to note, right? So the first time frame, that's going to be the chart that BloodHound is running on, right? Just like if you look at any indicator here, so we have the swing highs and lows, right? All the indicators will tell you what chart type they're running on. So, right, BloodHound's going to do the same thing, and then also BloodHound will tell you if it's using other like secondary time frames. So you can see here it says 3 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute. So we know that BloodHound has a 3 minute, 5 minute, and 10 minute time frame loaded into it. So, right. And also sometimes you might be using indicators that require secondary time frames as well. For example, like order flow type of indicators usually require a 1 tick time frame to be, that it's using inside the indicator. And so you might sometimes, and so you'll see a 1 tick time frame in here, in the name of BloodHound, if you're using a indicator that requires a 1 tick time frame. So just a little tip there, guys. A little extra information. All right, now that we have our time frames loaded, let's grab a slope solver. So I'm actually going to do this on the solvers tab. I know normally I'll do this on the logic tab, and I guess just to show you, if I were to do this on the logic tab, right, I would go to solver nodes, and we can see now I have a 3 minute, 5 minute, and 10 minute time frame. So I could go grab a slope solver from the 3 minute time, not from, but a slope solver that will be running on the 3 minute time frame right there. So that's how I would do it on the logic board, but it's actually a little faster if I do it on the solvers tab here, and I'll show you why here. So here's a little time-saving tip here. So I'm going to grab a slope solver right there, hit the add button, right? There's my new slope solver. And let's give this a name, right? So this is the EMA 120 slope. And then let's go into the input and change our indicator to the EMA. All right, there's our EMA. Change the period to 120. Click OK. So there's our EMA 120 slope. And we want this of the 3 minute chart. So we're going to move this down. Right? So the up and down buttons will move a solver from one a little bit of tongue twister there, from one time frame to the next time frame. Right? So now I need to make a copy of this. So I now have 2 slope solvers. I'm going to highlight the second one and move it down onto the 5 minute chart. So there we go. I have 1 slope solver on the 3 minute, another slope solver on the 5 minute. So now I just need to make 1 more copy and then move that down. Right? So you can see how much faster that was for me just to make 1 solver, make a couple of copies, and then move it onto the correct time frame. Right? So I could have literally have just done that within just a few seconds. Right. So there we go. There's my 3 EMA 120 slopes. So now I can go back to the logic board here, go to my solvers and go to existing nodes. And also in existing nodes, I can see the 3, 5, and 10 minute time frames there. And each one of these has an EMA 120 slope solver. So there's the 3 minute. Go back to my existing nodes, go to the 5 minute time frame, select that slope solver. So there's the 5 minute time frame slope solver. Go back to my existing nodes, go to the 10 minute time frame and click on that one and then move that down. There we go. And then just connect them all in. And there we go. There we go, Joe. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And if we shrink this up, there we go. So what this is doing for everybody else is when the EMA 120 on the 3 minute, 5 minute, and 10 minute charts, when they're all sloping down together, there will only be short signals, right? When all 3 EMAs are sloping down together. And then if there is, let's see here, yeah, like probably, yeah, in here, the slope of the EMAs on those 3 time frames are in disagreement, right? They're not all sloping in the same direction together. And so therefore, yeah, these signals are all filtered out right here. And my guess is probably the same thing right here. The 3 EMAs on the different time frames are in disagreement with each other, and so there's no signals in this area as well. So that does it for Joe's question.